Youthful, talented players and somewhat proven players at the quarterback spots in Green Bay and Chicago. Should Detroit make that leap as well? Hey, how are you, folks? Jason Horowitz and NFL.com's Pat Kirwan. Glad to be with you here.
Good to see you, Jason.
It's good to see you too, Pat. Breaking down the needs of the teams in the NFC North, and of course, it starts with number one. That's the Detroit Lions. And when you become the first team to go 0-16, you admittedly need everything, or almost everything. Sitting there at number one, you have the choice of a quarterback, maybe a franchise linebacker, maybe a franchise left tackle. What's the best spot?
You know, I talked to Jimmy Schwartz, the new head coach here, and he told me signability is a factor to him. I had the first pick in the NFL draft. We said signability was a factor to us, but we didn't mean it because we liked one player over the others. And when it came right down to it and we didn't get our player signed, we still drafted Keyshawn Johnson. So they're saying it today, and they're trying to push for a deal. Now, I don't think they're going to get a deal with the quarterback before the draft. Tom Condon, the agent's not going to take the risk of taking a deal that becomes below market and is glaring as he tries to get candidates next year for the draft.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, the agent for Matt Stafford, the quarterback out of Georgia. And Pat, when you talk about Matt Stafford, a guy that could come in, is he, in your mind, worthy of the number one pick for a team that needs everything?
No, I don't think he is, and this is not a bad statement about Matt Stafford. He's a nice young man. He's going to be a good player in this league, but he's an underclassman. I don't like that. He's under 6'3". I don't like that. And he's going into a place without a very good supporting cast. And there's a long history about juniors. You go back and look at the junior quarterbacks in this draft since 1999, and outside of Ben Roethlisberger and Aaron Rodgers got a chance to sit for a few years, and Ben went to a very good football team. Everyone else failed. It's the probability of success is not very good.
So where would you go then? You don't think you should take the quarterback, so would you go with the left tackle, whether it's Eugene Monroe or Jason Smith, or would you go with the linebacker and Aaron Curry?
I would go with the offensive tackle, 10-year starter. When we took Keyshawn, Baltimore took Jonathan Ogden. I'm not suggesting these tackles are Ogden, but I'd take the tackle, plug him in right now, move Backus down to guard. He's been a liability at left tackle. And then I might take my 20th pick and go after somebody else like Derek Anderson or Brady Quinn. Would you like your football team? You're a Detroit fan. If you saw Jason Smith at left tackle and Brady Quinn under center.
You'd like that. You'd also have the opportunity there to address another need because you have the first pick in the second round, and the Lions have a lot of picks as well, Pat. When you look at this team here, obviously needing everything, defensively, would you take the rest of the draft and go defense?
Yes, Jim Schwartz said this to me. We've got to get bigger. This defense isn't big enough for what we need to do. They need to get a defensive tackle in there. They need to get a middle linebacker in there. And those would be the first two players I'd go after in the core to go after. I like Ziggy Hood, the kid coming out of Missouri, a 300-pounder that's very strong. I like Ray Maluga as a candidate here. And if they don't get on, Ray Maluga, I think Laurinaitis could be at the top of the second round. With the people in Detroit love that.
All right, let's talk about the Bears because they don't have a first-round pick, Pat. You're talking about a team that had all this excitement for Jay Cutler. They pick at 49 and then not again until 99. What can Bears fans hope for?
I think the Bears are hoping that there's enough veteran trades and signings at wide receiver that we push some receivers down to them in the second round where they can get a kid like Brian Robisky. He's a very polished player. Reminds me of Amani Toomer coming out of college. He could come in and help right away.
All right, like the Bears, the Vikings also addressed a quarterback in the offseason. Sage Rosenfels doesn't have the, the hoopla coming in that Jay Cutler does. But Minnesota's got a lot of things. They've got great defense. They've got a great running back and Adrian Peterson. Where do they need to address here?
I think they've lucked out because the Jason Peters move to Philadelphia now puts Buffalo in a position to have to take a tackle up top, a left tackle, but it also takes Philadelphia out of the business of taking a tackle. Now they don't need to. Britton, Eben Britton, the kid from Arizona, is a guy that I think Minnesota will target in the first round.
What about the Green Bay Packers? They're sitting there at the 9th pick overall. Offense wasn't an issue last year. Aaron Rodgers did well. Ryan Grant came on in the second half. Is it all defense here?
I think it's all defense for them. They're trying to construct the 34 defense. Now, Kansas City and Denver are also trying to do it. I think Green Bay is the farthest along in doing this. They're very quiet in the offseason. They did not try to do this with veterans. They will build a 34 defense. What do they need to go? They need to get a nose tackle, not necessarily in the first round. Need to get an outside pass rusher for the right side. And I think they'll get that in the first round. They'll be on their way to taking their 34 defense onto the field.
Colin Cole no longer there with the Green Bay Packers, so filling up that defensive line and getting a guy to rush the passer as well. Green Bay was not successful that in 2008. For more on the NFC North or any other division, be sure to stay with CBSSports.com. For Pat Kirwan, it's good to see you again, bud. Take care, folks.